I call to order the regular meeting of the City of Aransas Pass City Council, March 20th, 23 at 5:30 p.m. Let's all rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Heavenly Father, thank you for all your blessings. Thank you for your love, your grace, and above all, my Father, your protection that you have bestowed upon us. I thank you, my Father, for the blessings that you have given each and every one of us. At times we don't acknowledge them as blessings from you, but everything that good comes from above. I pray, Lord, that you guide us as City Council to make the right decisions for our residents. I pray, Lord, your blessings upon each of the residents and their endeavors, their problems that they have, their issues, their concerns. I pray, Lord, that you be with each one of them. This I ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to go to presentations and proclamations, and we're going to go to first the San Patricio County Economic Development Corporation update with Mr. Adam, and your last name is hard to say.
How's it going? Thank you all for having me here today. Appreciate it. Do I have a clicker, or y'all just gonna? What's that? Okay, so I'll just go through it, and then you'll. Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I'm Adam Gavareski. Thanks for having me today. President of the San Patricio County EDC. All the cities within the county pay into our fund, so we appreciate your support for economic development. So I don't have anything in particular as far as projects go today. I really just wanted to give you all an overview of kind of some of the things that we're working on across the county and some updates. And again, just say thank you for your investment in us. Okay, so I'll start from the beginning. I'll try to keep this to 10 minutes or less. Okay. We cover, as you all know, the 9 cities within the county. As far west as Matheson, as far east of here is Aransas Pass, and as far south as Odom. So we cover the 9 cities. We don't play favorites in the cities. So as we work projects, we keep them all on the same playing field. So whether it's retail or heavy industrial or whatever the case is, we try to play each project evenly. We do have sites in across the whole county. We have sites here in Aransas Pass, sites at Ingleside, and then everywhere across the county as well. So we're working projects all across the board. MSA stands for Metropolitan Statistical Area. That population number right now is at 428,000 people. It grows every day. 460,000 people within a 1-hour drive time. In the county, 68,000 people. And then here in Aransas Pass, you're at 7,941, as you probably already knew that. We typically, as we're working with these major corporations and C-level executives of these major companies, we typically tout the MSA numbers, mainly because if they're going to be hiring 500 to 700 people, they want to know that they have a workforce here to draw from. So that's the reason for those numbers. Unemployment rate right now is actually down a little bit from this number in the last month. We're at about 3.8% right now. The nation as a whole is at 3%, so we're a little higher. The state of Texas is at 3.3 right now, so we're a little higher than the state and the national average. And then the median age right now is at 35 and a half, so a relatively younger median age in the county. We do target. We have our target markets, so we don't just go and we don't shoot for every single project across the country. We go after manufacturing, which is broad. We try to focus more on the metals, the steel and iron. To complement Steel Dynamics. We are getting a lot of their suppliers and vendors in the area. We've been successful at recruiting 6 additional companies on that steel campus up there in Sinton for a total of 1,000 people reporting to that site every day of the week. 600 at Steel Dynamics and then 400 with the other subsidiary companies. We target obviously petrochemical operations. There's we have 7 of those here in the county. We're working a handful of others from other other countries as well. We've got one looking from Japan. We've got one from Denmark that we're trying to announce here pretty soon, in several other countries as well. So a lot of international presence. Aerospace and aviation, we do go after that, although it's not as far forward on our target list as the other ones are. But we do have 2 county airports here in the county, so that's why we go after aviation and aerospace. Agriculture, we're a huge ag market. We have a project right now that will take all the leftover stalks from the cotton after the farmers process the cotton. They'll take the stalks and they'll process that into recycled material, and the end product is going to be wood panels that go in between beer cases for Heineken as they distribute that from Monterrey, Mexico. So that just tells you how agriculture ties into this region and how we can utilize that for our economic development and marketing efforts. Green energy, I'd say 80% of our products right now are green energy. Green ammonia, green hydrogen, blue ammonia. We're working a ton of those things right now. I mean, you name it, all sizes. I would say most of them are $1 billion minimum, all the way up to $5–6 billion projects. We've got probably three of those right now that are on the immediate horizon that we do have a strong chance of locating here. None that are in Aransas Pass specifically, but one of the larger ones that would hire about 700 people is in close proximity out there at the site that we call Blue Bay, just west of the county landing strip. So that would benefit y'all for workforce purposes. They would be drawing employees from your city. And then retail. We didn't target retail up until about a year and a half ago. Our office has never done retail. We added that because we do cover the 9 cities. We can't benefit all of them as far as industrial recruitment. We don't have sites in a couple of the cities. So we went to the city managers of all the major cities, or in all the cities, and asked them how we can best help them. And a lot of them, actually all 9 of them said retail was one of their top priorities. Some of them really just wanted us to focus on retail. So we did work with you all about a year and a half ago and with Gary, and we were successful at getting a Starbucks in here. And we're working on a handful of others right now. We've got a Mr. Gaddy's looking. We've got Valvoline Oil and Lube Center. We've got a couple of Dairy Queens. We've got Sonic looking. We've got a handful of other retailers that we're trying to place in these different markets. It's really just getting them to decide on which one of our cities, and we provide them with the demographics and the full makeup of each one of the cities, and then we let them choose based on the sites and the demographics that meet their profile. So if there's ever any retail that y'all specifically want us to go after, feel free to send it to me. If it's a Cracker Barrel, I know Rosemary mentioned a couple in years past. So if there's ever anything you want specifically, just send it over to us. Project activity, in summary for last year, 2022, we had a total of 120 projects that came across our office that we had a chance to work on. These are non-retail projects, so 120 that are all the big job creation type projects. 103 of those were in manufacturing. We responded to 62, but a little bit over half. If we don't respond, it's because we don't have a lot of giant buildings here in the area that are immediately available and things like that. So we're not a good fit for every project that comes our direction. And then we had 13 of those visit this county last year. So that's big companies that really want to locate here, but they're playing the site selection process where they're looking at other cities too, but we get them in town and we can consider that as a site visit, which is the next best thing to a location. I won't go through all these. These are just, I put 5 examples up here of some of the projects that we're working on. So I won't go into detail on any of them. If you ever have any questions, the mayor and the city manager of each of the 9 cities get our monthly progress reports, and they have a list of these projects. So if y'all have any questions, Gary, feel free to reach out anytime. I mean, one there is a green ammonia facility looking at a 100-acre site. That one's a $1.5 billion capital investment, a very large power user at 1.2 gigs. That is enormous. We don't have any projects here currently that use that much power. Project E-Core is the wood panel product I mentioned, looking for 20 acres. We've got a site in Taft picked out for that group. Sorry, next slide, please. Renewable Arc is a Denmark project we're trying to locate just north of Gregory, outside the city limits, but we've got a 60-acre site there picked out. We did get the final incentive from the county this morning. We went back and forth with the company to negotiate that tax abatement and what that would look like. We presented that to the company today. We'll have a final decision from them first week of May or second week of May. And that's on a $1.1 billion capital investment and 65 new jobs on that project. You see, a lot of these projects are getting where y'all have gotten used to having these very big projects, hiring 500–700 people. Those numbers have gone down quite a bit. It's looking like, from a national perspective, mainly due to automation and different things like that. But some of those projects aren't going to have as high of job numbers as they have in the past. Project Tubular is another one we're working on. That's a steel fabrication operation that'll complement Steel Dynamics as well. Next slide, please. Again, we'll skip these. The Project Green's it's a Japanese company, a very large project. Its first phase will be $3 billion. It has the opportunity to be a $20 billion project over a course of 10 years, which will be our second largest project in this county, aside from Chenier. Project Merlin's another petrochemical-related project, 500 to 700 acres that they're looking for. We do have a site picked out for that one also, 250 full-time employees. Just updates on a couple of the most recent products. I've already kind of talked about these. Steel Dynamics and Exxon, or Gulf Coast Growth Ventures as we call it. It's the joint venture between SABIC and Exxon. Both of these projects finished construction in February of 2022 and are at full capacity, fully employed. Gulf Coast Growth Ventures finished construction and the full project was done at $7 billion while they had $9.5 billion budgeted. So those are probably the numbers that you saw in the papers in years past, but they did finish at $7 billion in capital investment. They have 670 people reporting to that site every day, fully employed. And then Steel Dynamics has 600 people. They're also fully employed. 600 people showing up to work there every day. We've been successful at locating 6 other steel companies on that same site for a total of 400 more employees reporting out there. So you've got 1,000 people going to Sinton for work every day to that property. Next slide, please. Won't spend a lot of time on this one. How we find these products, we get 75% of our leads and our prospects from the governor's office. So when you have an EDC formed, an Economic Development Corporation, you file with the state of Texas, and they send you all the company inquiries from, international or domestic. And so we get all of those leads that are looking at the state of Texas. Again, 75% of our products come from that source. And then we get some direct company inquiries, not a lot. We don't have a lot of people calling in. We get a few here and there. I'd say the bulk of our other leads, 15-20% of the rest are coming from marketing trips. So we take all the funds from the cities, from the port, from our county, and then from our private investors across the county, and that money goes into a marketing fund that we use for face-to-face visits with company C-level executives, and that's how we're getting the bulk of our other leads. And then there's some examples of some of the marketing trips that we do. They're all across the board: Chicago, Pittsburgh for Steel Show. We're doing aviation shows in Dallas, and you can see there's a list of them there. They're all tied into our target markets. So we're going after steel and aviation and petrochemicals and things like that. So all of these tie into those target markets. And then who we worked with to make these happen. We don't get all of these products on our own. We can't. We're an office of 3 at the moment, so we don't. We do work these products about 50% of the way through before we bring in outside sources, and then once we get them over the halfway point, then we bring in all of our groups here that you see to help us work these products. We bring in city managers and mayors of the local cities. We bring in the county judge and his office, the chambers of commerce, and Rosemary and all the other chamber presidents help us out for quality of life pitches and different materials that we might need from them. Lots of engineering work has to be done on these sites. We work with all those partners. The Railroad Commission, you name it, all of these people help us. Utilities, water, power, all of that kind of stuff that we bring in all these people to help us close these projects. Let's 2 quick slides on total capital investment. The current numbers for this is the 3-county region for Aransas, Nueces, and San Patricio County. We're at $62 billion in the last 10 years in just industrial capital investment. So this is not including rooftops, not including retail. This is all industrial capital investment. This is a fantastic number. I've done this same position up in Denton County, up north of the Metroplex, and also for Bexar County and San Antonio. Our numbers didn't come anywhere close to this. Even if you divide that by 3, our counties did not come close to this number. So this is a fantastic number, and the numbers are just a lot higher down here in capital investment when you start dealing with petrochemicals and you have to work out pipelines and get these things on ships to export, as you all know. So capital investment numbers grow down here. The next slide is just for our county. So we are in San Patricio County, we're at $37 billion of that $62 billion is here just in our county in the last 10 years. And that's due to SDI right now is it's $2.1 billion. GCGV came in at $7 billion. Chenier just did another expansion last year that added another $7 billion. So all these products total, you've got ArcelorMittal now, which was previously voestalpine. They got bought out by another company. And you've got Chemours and OxyChem. All those numbers total up to $37 billion. So again, that's a great number that we're at for our county. Probably one of the highest in the state from a county standpoint. Next slide, please. Talk about housing just for a second here. These are all updated numbers. I don't make these numbers up. These come from the real estate commission, and so I just re-summarize these in an easy to understand format. Median home price right now in the county is at $232,000. Real estate's tough right now. If there's any realtors in here, they understand what I'm talking about. There's more product on the ground right now than there has been in years past, and it's not moving as quick. Interest rates are at 6.2%, 3 times higher than it was when I moved down here a little under 2.5 years ago. So interest rates are skyrocketing. It's just making it tough for people to want to make that decision to buy a new home. So listings are up, as you can see there, 33.9%. Homes are typically spending 79 days on the market, which is 18 days longer than this time frame from last year. Closed sales are down 12.5%. The distribution of the homes across the county, and these vary from city to city, so it's going to be different in Aransas Pass than it would be over in Odom or Mathis. But you'll see the distribution of homes is at 40% are between 200 and 300,000, and the highest bracket of at 25% are between 100 and 200,000 dollars. Just a quick snapshot here. This is just our homepage of our website. If y'all ever need any up-to-date data, demographics, we keep each one of our 9 cities updated on here with demographics, population numbers, and all other data that you might ever need. So feel free to refer to this. It's brand new. We launched it last year. We did a full rehaul and refresh. It had been, I think, 7, 8, 9 years before it had been redone. So we rewrote all the content. Everything is completely built from scratch. So please check it out if you ever have a chance. The next slide is really just marketing materials and brochures. Nothing much to talk about here. Just want you to see kind of what we're using to promote the market. The county here in our 9 cities within. You can see that one right there at the top is a retail snapshot showing in the one on the top left. Those are just quick snapshots of the retailers that are in each one of our cities, along with a retail leakage map showing where these people are coming from and going to. The other 2 in the bottom left are more for industrial use, trifold brochures, and the one on the right is an ad that we run in national publications. So if y'all ever want copies of those, feel free to reach out to me. So I keep talking about the sites that we market. We have 23 industrial properties. These are not retail sites. We have tons and tons of retail corners and retail sites that we could bore you with all day if we had time. Tons of those, though, too many to show on a map. These are just the industrial properties, really over 50 acres, 50 all the way up to 1,600 acres of contiguous space that we are marketing to these large corporations. You can see the majority of those, and I would say the highest activity that we have is there along that south side of Highway 181, mainly because there's the rail line. The Union Pacific rail line runs on the south side of that highway. So you can see those 4 or 5 properties there. We have more products looking at those than we do anywhere else, wanting to be right there on that rail line. And then I guess the second largest market that we're seeing for these sites are right there in between Aransas Pass and Ingleside area on that site called Blue Bay, which I have it listed at 780 acres. I think you all know that there's different land over there that's been bought by the port, including that 552-acre site down on the south side where they're looking at building two additional docks. One of those would be for an exclusive user, one of the Japanese companies we've been working on. The other one would be a community dock for 3 or 4 different companies to utilize once it's constructed. And then that site is actually, it says 780 acres on that Blue Bay site. It's really it's up to about a 2,000-acre site. And so we're marketing that as for lease and for sale properties. And we have a handful of projects looking out there right now as well. Next big event, I threw a slide in here on this. I think most of you are going this week to Austin. We have our San Patricio County Day on Thursday. I think I've seen a few of your names listed on there that are going. We'll be up there the day before, and then we'll spend all day at the Capitol. We have 74 people RSVP'd to go to that from across the county, so city managers, mayors, council members, and whoever else wanted to join, but 74 people. So if y'all want any more information on that, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to get it to you. And that concludes my presentation. Here's my contact information, my email address, and our office line. If you ever need anything, please don't hesitate to call me. And I'll be happy to take any questions if anybody has any. All right. Thanks for having me.
Thanks,
All right.
Tom.
Take care.
Okay, now we're gonna go to update on the wet slip permits. Chris Bellary.
Bella.
Hi there, thank you for having me.
That's what I get.
My name is Chris Belair, and I'm with Anchor QEA, formerly Belair Environmental. And I'm here to give you all a brief update on where we stand in the process. So in 2022, Belair Environmental worked collaboratively with the city to seek reauthorization of the Com Brown redevelopment project. We initiated that work under Belair Environmental, and in May of last year, we merged with Anchor QEA. We do have all of our same staff, our same location in Rockport, and we're continuing to pursue this project. So where we stand is in 2022, we finished all of the sensitive resource surveys necessary to pursue that authorization, and from there moved into preparing a permit application. That was coordinated with the city, and the approach we took was to focus on the wet slip component of past larger scale developments, and the purpose for that was to alleviate some of the permitting challenges and to hope to expedite that process. So all components that were addressed and included in that permit application were marine based. We did make some minor alterations to previously engineered plans so that we would have the flexibility as the city to include either floating dock structures or piling supported. So once we get through Corps of Engineers permitting and we begin to assess the economics of the project, taking this approach will allow the discretion of the city to elicit a greater number of bids and to select the project with the economically that makes the most sense. The permit application was completed and submitted in just after the new year, and I received notice from the Corps of Engineers that it was issued to Mark Patillo, a Corps of Engineers project manager and one that we're, as a firm, we're very familiar with working with. The next step in the process is to go to public notice. The timeline for that is at the discretion of the Corps of Engineers. With them, they have had some staffing challenges over the last, say, year or so. And I know each of those project managers have a very heavy workload, but I would anticipate that everything is ready to go to public notice. Now it's just a matter of the Corps of Engineers getting to that level. Based on what was submitted and review of past authorizations, we don't foresee any extensive pushback from stakeholders, being the agencies, private landowners. So we don't anticipate any wholesale changes resulting from this public notice period, but until we reach that bridge, we can't say for certain. But for the most part, the heavy lifting should be done at this point, and it unfortunately is a waiting game, waiting for the Corps of Engineers, but I think we're in a good position at this point, and we will continue to provide updates. But I work closely with Gary, and I'm happy to give y'all updates on anything relevant to the project. The only thing of note I have at this point actually occurred today. So the federal government worked to revise regulations that play a large role in any of our development, being the definitions of water of the U.S. A new rule was published in the Code of Federal Regulations, and it came effective today. Within hours of it becoming effective, that rule has been suspended in the state of Texas. We're working closely with our network of the Corps of Engineers to figure out what implication that'll have to the project or other projects we have going on. They've played it close to the vest. They're working on developing internal guidance and regulations to how they're going to implement it locally. Until they receive those from headquarters, being Galveston, they will not be issuing AJDs. Luckily for the approach we took on with this permit, we will not be relying on that mechanism for this project. So we can't say for certain it is. I mean, we're just a few hours out of them suspending the rule, but we do not anticipate it impacting the timeline for the project. But we are certainly paying close attention to that and working with our contacts to make sure we can try to keep pushing this forward as quickly as possible. Outside of that, no other substantial updates for the project, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
So what is this new rule?
So it is very standard based on transitionings to new new administrations, the definitions of what they call waters of the U.S. is a bit contentious and it's very subjective. So all the way back into the Trump administration, he codified his own rule, and it was implemented for about 2 years. As soon as the Biden administration moved in, they remanded and revoked that set of regulations, and we rolled back to pre-Obama regulations. So it's a constant cycle from what we've seen. And the purpose of the Biden rule was simply the purpose was to recodify the regulations that were generally implemented for like a 40-year history. Everything that was kind of standard quo prior to the Obama administration, that was how it was pitched. It was a recodification of those regulations, so something we're all very familiar with. There are some differences that we've noticed in the fine details, and that is likely one of the reasons that it was suspended in Texas so quickly. So as it works its way through the federal courts, we'll see if we roll back to those pre-Obama regulations once again, or if there are changes made on a regional level to make it better fit the environment we work in. But overall, it provides guidance in defining what the federal government can regulate as waters of the United States. So any project like Con Brown, when you're working over what they consider a traditionally navigable water, you're required to get a permit. The first exercise of any development, especially in the coastal environment, is determining if you have those regulatory features present. And so that's generally what it is. And it just continues to evolve based on transitions to administrations based on different agendas and
Right.
beliefs.
Okay, all right. Interesting.
Any other questions?
Anything else?
Thank
All
you,
right,
sir.
thank you very much.
Thank
for
you
your
very
time.
much.
Okay, now we're gonna go to updates on the second annual party gras with Rosemary Vega.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here tonight to give y'all a debriefing kind of on Party Gras. I know it's been a minute, but I got COVID, so I had to wait a little while to come back in. Saturday, February the 11th was Party Gras. We started our setup at 6:30 a.m. with the street closure at 11 a.m. for the downtown parade. We had 35 participants this year in the parade, 15 gumbo teams, 34 craft vendors, and 13 registered food vendors. We can only approximate attendance numbers because we don't charge attendance, but we estimate that we had double what we had last year, which last year we had about 1,500. So we safely can say that we had about 3,000 people throughout the day. I like to think that a lot of them were from out of town because I didn't recognize a lot of people that were out there. You know, there were just some locals, but mostly people from outside the area, and we did market outside the area as well this year. So we were a lot more conservative with our expenses last year than we were this year because we knew kind of what we were going to expect, so we could spend a little bit more money on that. The Chamber did a debriefing with the Board of Directors, so this event is brought to you by Destination Aransas Pass, which is a 501c3, and the Chamber of Commerce is the parent organization for Destination Aransas Pass. So when we debrief with Destination Aransas Pass, and then again with the Chamber, since the Chamber initially held all the risk for the event. We kind of foot the bill in the beginning and then had to let it get on its feet before we could start. HEB being one of those people on our board of directors did notice quite a bit of traffic in their store and in their parking lot, so much so that we had some discussion about maybe having some satellite parking lots, because while they had a lot of traffic in the store, they also had a lot of people that were parking in their parking lot and going to the event. And so that was a challenge for people that were wanting to shop. So in our board meeting, we talked about having some satellite office lots where we would have golf carts and kind of bring people back and forth throughout the day to kind of help ease some of that traffic to the downtown businesses that want to benefit from the event, but not have them just park there and walk off. The downtown businesses, bars and restaurants all noticed traffic in their facilities. Some of them in the downtown even went as far as to say that that was the most revenue they made all year long. So they're completely excited about the event. They love the event. They want us to have another event. I don't know about that. Maybe, midway through the year, a year down the road or something. But right now, it's a lot of work. And so the more volunteers we get, the more people we get on board, the easier those things will get. But right now, we're trying to really kind of focus on this one event and really grow it. The Microtel noted guests that were excited about the event. They didn't notice really a high number of people come in as a result from it, but the traffic that they did see coming out of the hotel to walk in the downtown, they felt like was good for them. There were people excited about things happening in the downtown that they were able to walk to. The Candlewood said that their occupancy went from 88 to 98% on Saturday night alone from the event. So they kind of had two different kind of perspectives on it. The revenue generated from the event goes completely back into Destination Aransas Pass. While the chamber staff and volunteers are the chambers, we have a separate account for that. Everything goes into that account, and it's all for improvements either in the downtown or beyond the downtown. So all of those revenue is going to go to improvements, enhancements, projects, beautification. But it's also a bank account and a funding source for us if we ever have another disaster to funnel monies into for the city and for the chamber and for nonprofits and businesses, so that if something ever happens and someone wants to donate to our organization, that they're donating to a 501c3 because it's a tax exemption for them. They're gonna be more apt to donate into a 501c3 or a municipality or a 6. So that's kind of why we thought it was important to have that in place and to keep it active and to start generating revenue so that we have a funding source for other things that we're going to do. So with that being said, we have 3 projects that we're working on. So the event made about $13,000. So we had a little bit of money in there, and I think we have about $23,000 in that account right now. But this year we're working on 3 projects immediately, and Gary's, you have them up? Yeah, so this up here that you see on this corner is the little bridge just past Popeyes if you're going to Port Aransas. So back in, I think, 2009, we did all the work for that. We went through TxDOT, we asked all the permissions, we went through the city, and TxDOT gave us permission to redo this bridge, which wasn't painted at all at that time, so long as we maintained it. And that was back in 2009. It needs to be maintained right now. So we have a muralist coming in. He's already starting on it. He's going to redo both sides of that bridge. What you see over here is what Leadership Aransas Pass did, where you see the people kind of around the sign. That's the one right in front of where we put the Christmas tree out. That one's going to be done by the art department. We've already furnished all the paint for them. It literally costs us like $200. And the kids are going to come out and they're going to refresh that with the same colors. They're going to redo the bird and everything. They're going to do the same thing with the Aransas Pass Community Park sign. So we want to do a cleanup right there and kind of get it ready for shrimpery, make it look a little bit nicer. And then this one that you see on the bottom is going to be partly funded by Destination Aransas Pass and also by the Rudy Abrego Fund. We raised some money with T-shirts when we did his Kindness Act, and we're going to redo this one too. Of course, we'll bring you designs for that because we want to put some fresh stuff in there to make it look nicer and more dated. And so this will be our last one. We're going to do the top 2 first, or 3, and then this will be the last one. We'll come back with a design for y'all so y'all can see the one in the middle, what we're going to do in Rudy's name. And then last but not least, I want to thank y'all for supporting our efforts always. When the chamber comes up with something and we want to do something for the community, you guys have always been very supportive. You have an amazing public works department and police department and fire department and code enforcement now. It's getting better and better. It's getting easier and easier. With every event that we do, we debrief. We find ways to make things easier. The event was great. It was fun. It was safe. And everyone had a great spirit. The police department was out there the whole time with us. The sheriff's department was out there. It was just really a good time. And all in all, it was a great event. And we look forward to having it again next year and for years to come and to continue finding ways to grow it. Do y'all have any questions?
No, thank
No?
you.
Thank
Great
you.
report.
Thank you.
Good job. Okay, now we're gonna go to a presentation on update on 88 Texas legislative session. Ms. Roxanne.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, community members. Thank you for being here. Today is an exciting day for updates, and we do have an update on our 88th Texas Legislature. Last Thursday, the Texas Municipal League conducted their second legislative webinar, and what I have in front of you is a packet of bills that they have brought to the forefront for us to pay particular close attention to. In fact, as of last Thursday, there had been 8,217 bills filed. Out of the 8,217 bills filed, about 3,000 of them actually impact cities. That's a lot of reading to do. So the purpose of this is not to go through those 3,000 bills or the 8,217, but to give you some highlights on things that are moving forward quickly, and to keep your finger on the pulse of how you want to react and respond to our politicians regarding them. Now, our legislators started in January. They've been in the process of filing the bills, right? They are now in the process of committee hearings, right? They're in committee hearings to hear these bills, knock them out, debate and argue over them, change language, and so forth. When TML began their presentation last Thursday on this, they said that they wanted to give us a theme to our cities about what kind of bills we're seeing. And their theme was there's a lot of land use bills and there's a lot of state preemption authority that's coming through. I want to talk to you specifically about state preemption. State preemption, you know, we are a home rule city, and in Texas there's about 1,200 cities, and out of those 1,200 cities, there's about 351 home rule cities. Aransas Pass is one of those home rule cities, and what's so special about that is because you're a home rule city, you get to focus in on creating and drafting ordinances that are important to your community here. Ordinances important to Aransas Pass may not be as important to Amarillo, and vice versa. So home rule cities have this very unique, powerful tool to create and develop their communities as they see and their elected officials place forth. Now, in this process, the state is trying to take away municipal control. So when I say preemption, I'm going to use the term super preemption, which means the state takes away all your home rule charter powers. And I'm going to use the term also targeted preemption, which means they only take away some of your power, but not all of it. Okay, let's take a look at super preemption. House Bill 2127 and Senate Bill 814, its companion, are basically super preemption. Okay, super preemption taking everything away from you. This is massive. This is big deal for local governments. I want you to know that it has passed the Senate and it is moving on to the House. So we are going to have complete focus on this bill, or there may not be a need, as one of the state legislators said in the Senate, there may not be a need for local city government. So concentrate on that, and we'll take a look at whether or not you feel strongly about that. Targeted, interestingly enough, when the super preemption bill was being reviewed, there was builders who were in support of it, restaurant owners in support of it, and their biggest issue is they develop across the state. In every major city they go into, home rule cities, remember, are more than 5,000 in population. Every city they go into, they have different rules and regulations. And so they argue that it's difficult to economically develop when every single city has different rules or regulations you have to follow. On the flip side of that argument, cities will say, of course it is, because what's important to us may not be important to Amarillo, and so there's different rules you may have to follow. So what we're seeing is the economic developers, such as industry, restaurant, housing builders, wanting a uniform code throughout the state, period, so that you would have the same kind of facility in Amarillo as you do here in Aransas Pass. No relation to Amarillo, just thought it was far enough to mention it. It started with an A. People who were against the super preemption bill were payday loaners, residents who wanted control, local control over payday loaners, and residents who wanted local control over animals. That was huge in the hearing. Very interesting, because you didn't see a lot of home rule city people testifying. So this is the wake up, because you may lose local control soon. Targeted preemption. TML a couple of years ago used to fight super preemption, right? They wanted the home rule cities to have their power. But TML this year is actually saying, okay, you can take away some power away from cities, but not all of it. So you find TML even trying to compromise on the powers that you have. Does everyone understand that I just said? So what's happening here is there have been fights from both ends, and now things are starting to come to the middle, and you will lose some power as a home rule city this year. I just can't tell you exactly what yet, because there are fights on the floor every day about it. Next to that is community censorship. And this term means that the city could not hire a lobbyist or even join an organization that has lobbyists to lobby on behalf of cities. So that would eliminate the Texas Municipal League altogether in its lobbying efforts for cities. This almost passed the last legislative session in both the Senate and the House. It made it to the floor. I think it lost on the floor by just a couple of votes. That bill has definitely come back strong. The reason people are advocating for no lobbying in part relates to school districts. Every year it's interesting to see who they target. They targeted school districts that year, and they said that school districts are hiring lobbyists to promote philosophies that community people may not agree with. Like what kind of books can be in libraries, or who can teach and how they can teach, and what they can wear when they teach. So the community censorship, as it started to take away power from municipalities, has morphed into an argument of controlling or not controlling what's done in school districts. Either which way, it would eliminate your ability to lobby. So what you're seeing here is you're seeing an onion peel back and forth slowly on taking away your powers and actually taking your voice at the Capitol. Land use. Land use is huge. Annexation's a big deal. They are now still moving forward on a bill, House Bill 1246 by Craddock and Senate Bill 369 by Campbell, on automatic disannexation if a city does not provide full municipal services to the area by December 31st of 2023. So if for some reason some area in this area doesn't have water, utility, or police, or whatever it is that we provide in municipal services, they could be automatically disannexed. That would lose some of your tax base, some of concern to have. They have another bill that's like, rather than being an automatic disannexation for the failure to provide service, it's an automated election to disannex. In other words, if you disannexed any area between the years 2015 and 2019, that area would automatically have a right to elect and decide whether or not they wanted to be disannexed, even if you've provided municipal services. So some big control over sizing of land areas for cities, including the reduction of ETJs. Another bill, House Bill 2970, is going to allow HUD code homes to be in any residential zone. HUD code homes. HUD code. So there's a difference between HUD code homes and manufactured homes, but not much difference. But they're going to be allowed to be anywhere that bill passes. Remember, I mentioned to you in our first legislative overview that there was a national movement to eliminate zoning laws. Okay, well, here's one of the ones that's coming up in Texas. They are peeling that onion away. There's a bill, House Bill 3921, that says cities and counties over 300,000 in population cannot require lot sizes to be larger than 1,400 square feet or be a 20 by 60 foot lot. What that means is larger cities are going to become more compact, and you're going to see small lot sizes and smaller homes in the cities, and no one's going to be able to stop it. It's actually going to create perhaps even 31.1 homes per acre. if this goes into effect. These are not my rules. These are rules when bills come into your Texas legislature that have ammunition and are coming forward. Here's one that the police department might like. Minimum police salary in cities fewer than 5,000 of 55,000. We'll see how the small cities will be able to afford that. Everyone should make at least 55,000 is my vote, but financing that and paying of that may actually come out of the state coffers or the city's coffers. And let me tell you what I mean by that, because there's sales tax bills that are coming into place. I'm going to give you one I thought was a pretty good idea. It was the sales tax exemption. So in other words, you wouldn't have to pay any sales tax for feminine hygiene products and baby supplies. Okay? Now, the argument was that it is extremely costly, and the added tax value to it makes it unattainable for some populations. But if you take a moment back, this was what was alarming. The fiscal impact, if you exempt sales tax for feminine products and baby supplies, is $91 million to the state and $17 million to the cities. So when we take a look at our sales tax collection, if this bill passes, you will see a reduction because there is no longer the collection of sales tax from the feminine products and the baby supplies. So we do have to adjust for that if that bill comes through. So many fast things happening. They're on the move every single day. I want you to know that if there's any bills on here that rise to your level of concern, please let me know. I could continue to go on. Like there's even HR issues coming up right now. There's a bill, House Bill 471, that wants to give first responders up to 1 year of paid sick leave if they are injured. Now, normally, if we have a police officer that's injured while on duty, workers' comp insurance coverage takes place and, helps the city move things along. Under this bill, workers' comp insurance would not be effective. The city would have to give the first responder 1 year of sick leave and would have to incur that cost without any additional state mandated funding. Gosh, we even have a bill that repeals the juvenile curfew ordinance. So we have juveniles out all night. Sum it up, there is a general large movement, whether you support it or you don't support it, to take away local control and have more uniform rules throughout the entire state. They are doing that by literally taking away your power to draft ordinances and by telling you what you can and cannot do with your land. We're even going to have a bill that allows no city regulations when it comes to the number of chickens, the number of solar powered devices, and the number of underground shelters that you could have on your own property. So all kinds of fun stuff. It's important to get active, and when I send out these notices to you via text, please consider whether or not you have any opportunity to go to the Texas legislature to voice your opinion as an elected official or to voice your opinion as a city if you've got the permission from the council to do so. Thank you.
Wow. That was a big Debbie Downer.
Okay, now we're gonna go to board and commission appointments, and we're gonna go to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Yes, Mayor and Council, there is one vacancy on the Planning and Zoning Commission, and that's due to the resignation of Mr. Joe Dominguez. Members to the Planning and Zoning Commission are appointed by the mayor, subject to confirmation by the council. We did receive 2 board applications, and that's from James Booth and Stephen Krawanowski. So you would nominate.
Yeah, we talked about this.
You want to, yeah, you would submit that name for nomination, and then it would be approved by the council.
Stephen, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, he has another hard name.
Kronowski?
Yeah,
Tranowski.
but he's the one
Okay, so you're nominating Stephen Krawanowski. Okay, so we would need a motion and a second from the council for that appointment.
I make a motion to appoint Stephen Tranowski to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We're gonna go to the library board appointment.
Yes, on the library board, there are some terms that are expiring for Helen A. Lott, Cami Hyatt, Deborah Coleman, and Mary Keegler. All of these members are seeking reappointment. Lil Villarreal, the librarian, is here to provide the council with an update on the library board. So,
Good evening.
The library board is asking that these members be reappointed, and I believe there were some questions on that.
I believe they wanted an update over the last year of the library board and
And
their
what the
duties and activities.
Duties and activities. The library board is not a governing body board. It's a support group. Right now, what the library board is doing is National Library Week is coming up in April, and so they help plan and they help fund, and they support our summer reading program and by buying books for our summer reading program. Really, that's what they do. Anything that we need, the library board is there for. When we put in our security system, the library board was there, making sure that all the books were stripped. So that's basically what they do.
Do y'all have monthly meetings?
We do.
Okay.
We do.
Do y'all take minutes and?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yes, we
think
do. And I
had
was not aware that minutes needed to be posted. The agendas are always sent to Mary weeks in advance so she can have that posted. But I believe Mary said that they weren't being posted on the site.
Well, the minutes are not
The
posted
minutes.
on.
Yeah.
But I did speak with Ms. Villarreal this morning, and we're gonna start posting those
From
minutes.
here on out, we will post.
All right, thank you.
And the board members that are asking for reappointment have been with my board for a long, long time. They've been there since, except for Cammie. Cammie took over Patsy Crumride, who moved. You know that, Vicki, so, yeah. And like I said, our National Library Week is coming up in April. We're bringing back our social. That's always been very, very popular with the city, with our patrons. And so we want to invite everybody to come to that. It's in April 26th, I believe, is our social. 24th, yes, the 26th.
Will you send us out a reminder?
I always send an invitation to the board. I haven't mailed them out yet, but I will send an invitation to the council.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions?
No, thank you.
It's good seeing some of you.
So there's some reappointments, and that is a reappointment of Helen A. Lott, Cami Hyatt, Deborah Coleman, and Mary Keegler.
So I make a motion to reappoint Helen A. Lott, Cami Hyatt, Deborah Coleman, and Mary Smith Keegler to
Second.
the library board.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, now we're gonna go to the consent agenda. All of the following items in the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of this item unless a council member so requests. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately.
I make a motion to approve the consent agendas for the February 20th regular meeting and the February 22nd workshop meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, now we're gonna go to public hearings. We're gonna open up public hearing on case number 2303-03 on application of a planned development district final plat of Harbor Heights Phase 4 of a major subdivision by Bay Breeze Development LP to develop 29 single-family dwelling lots and 4 common area lots as depicted in Exhibit A on properties being 5.52 acres of land being out of and a part of farm lots 1, 2, and 3, land block 75, according to the plat of T.P. McCampbell subdivision, volume 11, pages 21 and 22, map records of the San Patricio County, Texas.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is the already developed Harbor Heights project. They are being done in phases, and so this is the phase 4. And the applicant has met all the requirements of the PD, that is the plan development. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval unanimously, and so the applicant is before you, City Council, for the final approval of phase 4. Mr. Trey Summers is here. If you have any further questions, he will be ready to answer them for you. Thank you.
Anybody from the public's got any questions? Council members?
No?
Okay, I declare this public hearing closed, and we go to consider an act on ordinance granting approval of an application of a planned development district final plat of Harbor Heights Phase 4 of a major subdivision by Bay Breeze Development LP to develop 29 single-family dwelling lots and 4 common area lots as depicted in Exhibit A on property being 5.52 acres of land, being out of and a part of farm lots 1, 2, and 3, land block 7-5, according to the plat of T.P. Mechanical Subdivision, Volume 11, pages 21 and 22, map records of the San Patricio County, Texas.
Take a deep breath after that.
Yeah.
I make a motion to approve the application of a planned development district final plat of Harbor Heights Phase 4.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, now we're gonna go to the city manager to consider an act on resolution suspending the May 1, 2023 effective date of the proposal by CenterPoint Energy Resources Corp., DBA CenterPoint Energy NTEX and CenterPoint Energy Texas Gas South Texas Division to implement intern GRIP rate adjustments for gas utility investments in 2022 and requiring delivery of this resolution to the company and legal counsel.
Yes, this item relates to CenterPoint. They filed their annual interim rate adjustment, and in that filing, they're proposing an increase in gas rates by $3.72 for residential customers. So the rate will go from $27.03 to $30.75, and it'll go into effect May 1st. Under the statute, cities cannot challenge the request. The only action that cities can take is to suspend the increase by 45 days. So the action that you have before you is to suspend that effective date. There is a representative here from CenterPoint if you have any questions.
Another one of those things we have no control over.
That's correct.
So if you take action on the item that's posted on the agenda, that would suspend it by 45 days.
All right. I was just seeing how to read it. So I make a motion to act on resolution suspending the May 1st, 2023 effective date of the proposal by CenterPoint Energy, effective
Well, it'll
increase
suspend
by 45 days? Okay.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, now we're gonna go to consider an act on approving a mural on the building located behind the Siemens Memorial Tower to be funded by the Aransas Past Leadership Group.
Hello, thank you. My name is Brenda Dodson. I am with the Aransas Pass for Youth, and I am also part of the Leadership Class 7. We have recently, we would like to say thank you for the approval on the Newberry Park mural. We think it turned out pretty well with vibrant colors and very pretty. It also seems to be bringing a lot of visitors to the town as well, and I am really excited to say that our artist was very welcomed by our people in town as well. So again, thank you, but we'd like to bring another beautification project to you, and that is the one at Con Brown Harbor. We've been working really hard at bringing the funding to this, and we would like to raise the money ourselves, which there has been a toilet bowl going around town for raising that money. But also, we'd like to, with the Con Brown Harbor, it is the facilities down behind the Seaman Memorial. And we'd like to do 2 to 4 walls. And we'd also like to have more brilliant color, sorry, I am nervous. Colors, but with turtles and dolphins and the seascape. So, and again, we would just like to have, for us, we would like to finish this project within April, and all the funding come from leadership past Class 7. That's it.
Anybody any questions?
Were you gonna say something?
Yes, I actually wanted to thank the leadership group because I was inspired by your leadership and the murals that you did, that I found some cool other artwork that could go on. And I passed those on to Councilmember Dominguez, and so hopefully, Councilmember Dominguez, you can share that with the group.
Oh,
There's
I
some
will.
really
I'll share it.
cool mosaic benches that look like they would just fit beautiful within our coastal region. So thank you for the
thank you.
inspiration, and I hope you get to see some of the stuff that I sent him.
So, thank you.
Favor of the council.
I make a motion to approve a mural on the building located behind the Siemens Memorial Tower to be funded by the Aransas Pass Leadership Group.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we're gonna go to consider an act on approving task order number 24 to the agreement with N&B LLC, DBA Ordura Group Incorporated for the bait shack in the amount of $9,000.
Mayor and council, you may recall that when we were working on the bulkhead, a portion of it collapsed, a fairly large portion of it collapsed. Just so happens a portion that collapsed was under Captain Katie's bait shop. So we had to demolish that building, otherwise it was going to fall into the water. We demolished it and put up some temporary structures for Captain Katie's, and they've been wonderful to work with, quite frankly. What this does is gets us further down the road as far as FEMA considering paying for a new building. Much to, I don't want to say that, but we were glad to hear that they are considering that. But before they would consider it, they had to have an estimate. Not only an estimate, but an estimate that met FEMA requirements. So our FEMA, of course, engineer of record is Ordura. Today, we got back that estimate, and I'm assuming it has been sent on to, I'm looking for Sandra. I'm assuming it has been sent on to FEMA. It's under consideration. That doesn't mean they're going to build a new building, but they are considering doing that, and that would be wonderful if that were the case. It's all tied to Hurricane Harvey. It's all tied to the bulkhead, and we're not asking for anything different, just a replacement of what was there, but it would be a new building. So what you're approving is kind of after the fact, but we had to move forward with FEMA to get that estimate. And it's a very detailed estimate per FEMA requirements. That is what's before you at this point.
I make a motion that we approve task order number 24 to the agreement with LNB LLC, DBA Ordura Group, Inc. for the bait shack in the amount of $9,000.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, now we're gonna go to consider an act on approving assignment and assumption of solid waste collection and disposal service from Absolute Waste Services Incorporated to Frontier K2 LLC effective March 1st, 2023.
Mayor and council, I don't know if you want to hear, this has come before you as far as a presentation and discussion. I don't know if you want to hear from representatives of both companies. They are both here. But the city attorney has worked on that agreement. That's what's before you. And it's a transfer to Frontier, I think is what it's called. The representative of that company has spoken to you and is here also. That's what's before you at this point, agreeing to that transfer from one company to the other.
All the same.
Roxanne, that was all,
Pretty much all the same, right?
all
Yes,
good?
sir, exactly the same. In fact, I drafted the consent for the assignment based on what was presented to y'all at the last meeting.
Okay. I make a motion to approve the assignment and assumption of solid waste collection and disposal service from Absolute Waste Services, Inc. to Frontier K2 LLC effective March 1st, 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, now we're gonna go to, we got the monthly service, the monthly minimum report, we got it on paper, community development services. We're gonna go to consider an act on ordinance amending the City of Aransas Pass Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 29, Utilities, Article 6, Cross Connection Program, Section 29-202, Backflow Prevention Assemblies, Section 29-204, Commercial Cross Connections, Section 29-205, Residential Cross Connection Section, 29-206, Fire Hydrant Protection, and Section 29-209, Testing and Inspection Notices, providing a penalty for a violation, providing a savings and severability clause, providing for a publication and an effective date.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I had brought the Cross Connection Program a few months ago, and we went through the details through a workshop, and then also brought it over to a council to get it approved. We did change the language a little bit to make it a little bit more clear. Some of it was kind of confusing. One of the biggest confusion that was there was on the wells. So what it said was that if you had a well, you would get your well inspected, your outside connections, and your in-house connections through a customer service inspection. So reworded it so it's just a well and outside connections. We will not be going inside anybody's houses to look for that. So that was the major change in this cross-connection program. And of course, we found a little bit of grammar errors as well that were corrected. But those are the major changes compared to the first
To the way it was?
version you guys approved, yes.
Any questions?
I make a motion to act on an ordinance amending the City of Aransas Pass Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 29, Utilities, Article 6, Cross Connection Program, Section 29-202, Backflow Prevention Assemblies, Section 29-204, Commercial Cross Connection, Section 29-205, Residential Cross Connection, Section 29-206, Fire Hydrant Protection, and Section 29-209, Testing and Inspection Notices, providing a penalty for a violation, providing a savings and severability clause, providing for publication and an effective date.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we're gonna go to consider an act on the issuance of request for proposals for the demolition of 503 South 10th Street in Aransas Pass, Texas. He said finally?
Yes, sir.
Finally.
As soon as you say yes, we should be able to send it out. And I think we're going to give them 2 weeks for the bid, and then hopefully we'll be ready to go. So, well, I'm pretty sure you already know 503 South 10th is that burnt structure across from the school, so I think we'll be all right, though. So we're just seeking permission to go out for bids.
There isn't a way that we could do this one, David, or no?
You can answer.
Okay. I was just curious.
There is asbestos in the home. And
Gotcha.
so we didn't want to risk harming any university employees. We'd rather the third-party contractors use their equipment to resolve it.
Yeah.
If a residential home or commercial structure does not have asbestos, then it will be cheaper for the city. But the risk of health issues to the staff was too serious to risk.
I get it. It's got to be abated.
Yes,
Yep.
sir. I also want to thank the Building Board of Standards and Appeals for the amount of time that they spent working with the city staff to ensure due diligence was given to the property owners. And the staff, as always, did a phenomenal job. I really appreciate you all and our legal processing to get that thing down. And that's going to be a win for our community.
Yes,
Oh,
it
yeah.
will.
Good job.
Commissioner, Councilman Wright, to answer your question, a lot of these dilapidated buildings were built in the olden days, and that's the issues we run into. It's very rare we went to a newly built home that we're going to demolish. A lot of it is back in the day where asbestos was involved, and that's where
Gotcha.
the issue comes.
I appreciate
we run
it.
into it.
Didn't we have one that they went in there and got it?
Yeah, someone else, yeah, yeah. Are we ready? I make a motion to issue a request for proposals for the demolition of 503 South 10th Street, Aransas Pass, Texas.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, now we're gonna go to consider
Gosh, here we go.
an act on selecting a color for the city-owned street light post in downtown area.
Yeah. I was not present for the workshop. I thought you guys were gonna pick the color clear, so that way nobody sees it, be invisible, but, yeah. But you guys do have a color chart in front of you. I think the color that was told to me was you guys were looking for a blue jay color, or jay blue. The color that meets the closest to that one in this chart would be called signal blue. So if that is about you're going, signal blue would more likely be the route we're going. That one right there.
Signal blue.
It's
okay.
right in the center column, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about the 6th or 7th one down. That one.
Does this look at all close to the colors of Ingleside? Because I know that was a concern from the school district, from
Okay.
one of the members of the school board. Is it close to it or not?
I'm really not familiar with Ingleside colors, but
I think it's a lot darker.
This
Yeah.
one's way
Okay.
I don't know.
darker, the other
but
one's more
but the
like a
power
light-
is in your
lighter
hands,
blue.
so if
Yeah.
whichever
It's not
color
like dark blue.
you want in this chart, well,
I mean,
we
we
can
can
do.
always go with pink.
I was looking for pink, but you know, what is it, the group keep green, or is it? They like this
Yeah, that's a
particular
pretty-
color.
Yeah, how do young guys like it, Cindy?
Well, that's a pretty.
You,
like it?
yeah. Is that one good? The signal
I like
blue?
it.
Did you already see it?
That's
Those are my
perfect.
favorite colors.
And is it AEP poles that are already there? They're blue
Yeah.
and they're not vandalized. So that was a point, I think, at the last meeting that
That's a pretty blue.
they could be, yeah. So, yeah, that's beautiful. It goes with the yellow, gives a coastal look, color, instead of a gray or white would be ridiculous. It would be dirty in like
Yeah.
10 days, you
Yeah.
know, so.
If-
Yeah, we love that,
if that long
the
term.
signal blues.
Well, good.
Okay.
I make a motion to select signal blue for the color of the city-owned street light poles in the downtown area.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? No?
Thank you,
Okay, thank you. Now we're gonna go to citizen comments. Citizen comments are intended for the matters that are not scheduled on the agenda. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes and state your name and address for the record. Be advised that the Texas Open Meeting Act prohibits the city council from responding and discussing your comments. The law authorizes the following: make a statement of factual information, recite existing policy, advise that this subject may be placed on the agenda for a subsequent meeting.
Okay. Jason Followell, Aransas Pass, Texas. So I got a list from some citizens that sent me this, sat down and talked to me about concerns with or how they were affected by the council. So a lot of them asked me not to leave their last name, so I will not, because they're scared of reprisal. So I'll start off with the first one. His name is Randy. He has property on South Saunders. It was flooded years back, for several years, and he finally got Gary out, go out there and look at it, and Gary investigated, and there was rubbish and stuff out there, so they cleaned it off, and he thought that fixed the issue, but while they were out there, they wind up crushing the sewer lines out there, and his house has been flooded and basically cracked in half. I don't know if any of y'all after went out there and looked at it, but I did. His house is basically broken in half. He said after that, the city basically quit talking to him, and they never fixed his home. I have Gail. She has a travel trailer next to her home. The city came out there and said her travel trailer was a business, threatened to kick in her door. She didn't open it for inspection. She said that she was afraid, so she opened up the building, or the travel trailer, and the city went inside and basically wrote her travel trailer up, which is not a business, for several infractions and code violations. I have Juan. He has a trailer park here in town. I bet you guys know of him. This is about 2 years after Harvey. He said that he went to Ram Gomez for some aid because the city actually shut down his power to his trailer park. Ram, you said you would help him. Again, this is their stories, not mine. He said instead of helping him, though, the city came back out with code enforcement, law enforcement, and fire department, went to every single one of his trailer homes, knocked on every door, went inside all of them, and wrote a bunch of citations to him, and then left his travel trailer without power for almost a week, and I'm talking about a whole facility. He said, thank you, Ram, for helping him. I have Thomas. Thomas started a petition for annexation out at Sherwood. After we started the petition, the city came out there and responded very similar to what they did to me, brought out code enforcement, law enforcement, fire department, wrote him several citations on his property, came back numerous times before Thomas was actually able to keep you all from coming out there, he said. I have a lease. She talks about the mayor's own friend that removed a berm off the back of her property, which subjects her home and other homes up for flood. Gary Edwards, I was here at that meeting when she talked to you about this, and you basically said that berm never existed. Sorry, but I'm from here and live here, and I choose to play on there. And there's a Polaroid picture of me on top of that berm that you lied about, sir. Anyway, her house and homes out there are no longer covered by FEMA, so when they do get flooded, these people will have to sue the city. I suggest council members actually go out there and talk to her, maybe help her. She's went here several times and asked to be put on the agenda too, and y'all denied her. I got Leon. This gentleman said he worked for the city. He said he was actually terminated from the city for trying to get Ram Gomez to fix his property at the Bakery Cafe. Is my time up?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you guys, appreciate it. I'll finish the other two next time.
Anybody else? Okay, now we're gonna go to executive session, which is section 551.071 of the Texas Open Meeting Act, to meet with his attorney to seek legal action, advice on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the city council under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with the Texas Open Meeting Act relating to City of Aransas Pass, Texas versus Rockport Terminals Cause number 22-0132 in the District Court of Aransas County, Texas. And it is 6:46. We're gonna reconvene in open session to consider and take action, if any, on any item discussed in executive session.
No action needed. I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?